The point of early access in video games is to allow player feedback to the developer, to be critical. Think about that for just a sec. To be critical. What's up, everyone? This is another BRAP rant. Haven't done one of these in I think in about a week or so, and felt compelled, as I always do when I do these BRAP rants, to do this, to talk about PUBG, which just recently came out to the Xbox One this past Tuesday. And look, without any, make no bones about it, PUBG is a cultural phenomenon in the gaming industry. Let's just keep it real. I mean, it's sold over 20 million copies on the PC, and has been in preview on Steam for a couple months, and actually is getting ready to have a full retail launch on PC quite soon. So, but I wanted to do a quick video. But before I do that, I'm gonna step outside gaming for a minute and talk about something that I think is important. Um, just recently, in the last 3 weeks, myself, circle of friends, we have lost some individuals to disease, um, to drug abuse, and I just want to say something that should be that I feel like should be said. And I don't typically, talk about things necessarily in my personal life per se, but if you know of anyone, who's struggling with drug addiction, drug abuse, and you're aware of it, help them if you can. This past Friday, we lost an individual, somebody who um, myself and my circle of friends we grew up with, went to high school with, known for many years, um, passed away, overdosed. Now, this is a result of as I mentioned, overdose, drug abuse, drug addiction. It's a very serious thing. If you know of anyone and you're friends with anyone who's suffering from that kind of addiction, reach out to them, try to help them. So, on that note, PUBG. So, as I mentioned, PUBG is a cultural phenomenon. It just is. I mean, it's what, 20 million copies sold on PC so far. I believe on Xbox, they had sold 500,000 copies in 48 hours. So the game is a smash hit. I don't think anyone can deny that. But the point of this rant is, look, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter arguing back and forth or debating back and forth whether or not. I've seen something come up more recently, and what I've been seeing is, well, you should not complain about PUBG because you know what you were buying. You know that it's early access, so don't expect it to run perfectly. Well, I agree with that to an extent, but here's what I think people are missing. The point of early access is to be able to be critical of the game, its experience, its performance, areas where it needs to have improvement. Um, that's the point of early access, and I don't have an issue with people offering constructive criticism, emphasis on constructive criticism, with people being critical of the performance on the Xbox One. Now, I have an Xbox One X. The game doesn't perform as poorly as it does on the Xbox One S. But I can tell you, even on the X, there were things like pop-in when I was playing. Um, I was really surprised. Obviously, I knew that the game, when I bought it, wasn't optimized or running perfectly. But I didn't expect it to run as poorly as it ran. I didn't expect to see pop in. I didn't expect to see the um, just to see how bad the frame rate was. It was pretty bad. I mean, and I understand. Look, I get the point that that it's in-game preview, it's early access. I understand that, but this idea that you can't be critical of something that it's in early access because it is in early access um, is contradictory to what early access really is meant to be. I mean, it's meant to be a place where gamers can share feedback with developers and share their criticisms of in-game performance or things they don't necessarily like about the game. So I don't subscribe to this idea of, well, you know what you're buying, so you need to shut up and keep your mouth shut. No, that's not how early access work or should ever work. I think that sends the wrong message to game developers. I think if you have a look, if you have some constructive criticism to offer up on PUBG, I don't have an issue with that. I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's why we have early access programs. Um, what's up, All Day Digital? All Day's in the live chat. Good to see you up this early, my friend. Um, so I'm just not buying into that. I mean, I've seen some people recently tweet that out. Well, you know what you were buying, so you know you shouldn't complain, or um, you know you shouldn't. Uh, you know, it's an early access. What did you expect? You know, you're just being salty, or you know, you're just complaining for the sake of complaining. Look, obviously, there's some people out there that are probably complaining and being fanboys about it for the sake of this fictional console wars. Um, but I think there's some people out there. I've talked to some people that have some legitimate concerns and aren't exactly happy with how this game is performing, considering you know Microsoft once sent some of their team over there to help with the optimization of this game, and it just doesn't run well. And I look, I get it. I get that the game didn't run well on PC. It runs much better on PC now than it had previously ran. But I do think if you're going to charge, you know, $30 for a game, um, I think you should at least have things like frame rate in a game that is not demanding per se. This game isn't a, um, you know, there's no AI. It's just a map and the 100 or so people that are spawning into the game. It's not a graphically intense game. And look, and I understand. I get it that it's early access. I get that it's the game has never been known to run well. I understand those things. It doesn't mean that I have to be okay with it, though. It doesn't mean that I can't be vocal about it. And I just don't like this idea of people saying, "Well, you know what you're buying, so fuck you. You know, just shut up." No, you know, you're a consumer. You spent money on something. If you're not happy with the bit, if you're not happy about it, excuse me, and you have some legit concerns, if you have some legit concerns, then yeah, then voice those concerns. I do. I also do find it a little trivial that Microsoft is marketing this game, and this is where some of the criticism is gonna fall on Microsoft. Perhaps I think that they have really marketed this game so heavily. They've marketed it like it's a AAA game, and I understand from a business perspective. Um, I understand from a business perspective why they are marketing this game so heavily. They're trying look. They're trying to cash in on that hype, that momentum that the game has. They're trying to cash in on the word of mouth. I get that. I get that. But I think when you do that, you potentially open yourself for even more criticism. Because look, um, you may have people out there who have heard about PUBG and don't know about all the issues with regards to um, don't know about all the issues with you know the in-game performance and you know they may pick up the game you know you know unaware of these issues, and those things happen. I mean we can't assume that all of us um, because we're in this echo chamber of Twitter that everyone else thinks like us because they don't. We are small speck in terms of the consumer base in console gaming. We really are. You know, I think we often think that we're much bigger or a larger representation. Um, Give me a sec here, guys. I need to block someone who's trolling in here in the live chat. Excuse me. So, so look, I'm one of those ones who I spent $30 on the game. I knew the game had issues. I knew that going in, and but I didn't know how serious the issues are going to be when, I'm playing and I'm seeing a lot of frame rate issues, frame rate drops. I'm trying to shoot. I'm trying to move. I'm in a firefight with somebody. I can't move properly. Um, those things to me, like that's not okay. And I don't care if it's a game that's in game. Those things aren't okay to me, and I think that's a very dangerous message to send to a developer who, and especially in this case where they've how much if they've sold 20 million copies at and I don't know how much it is on Steam early access. I haven't even looked because I'm not even on Steam, so I haven't looked how much the game, excuse me, costs in early access. But if you think about, the amount of money that they've made so far, and the fact that Microsoft's, hey, what's up, Nels Coney? Nels Coney says, Enrique coffee talk with Aries the gamer. It's funny. What's up all day again? um, Sorry guys, just reading here stuff in live chat. Yeah, so yeah, those kinds of things, though, like the frame rate impacting gameplay to the point where I'm getting killed because of it. It's not cool with me. I don't care if it's in early access. I'm going to be vocal about those things. I'm going to be critical about those things, and I should be critical about those things because those are the things that game developers need feedback on, and that's the whole point of early access. It isn't Early access isn't just to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to play a game and it can play like dog shit, but hey, it's an early access, so I'm just going to give it a pass. No, 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 no. Early access, the intent of early access and what it's there for is to allow gamers to give developers input, criticism about the game, how it's performing, where developers can make improvements on said game. And that's what it's about. And people should not lose sight of that. Um, I'm probably in the minority here with gamers who own PUBG. Look, I'm always going to be pro-consumer. I'm not someone who's going to say, yeah, I'm just going to bend over and take in the rear because a game's in early access. I understand. Again, I understand what people are saying with, oh, you know what you're buying. If you didn't want to, have that experience, you shouldn't have bought it. That's true. But I bought it thinking that it was going to be somewhat playable. And it is to an extent, but it's not also. I mean, it's not. I've had too many experiences where, the frame rate or just the amount of, the frame rates, impacting, my ability to react to, the actions by other players that I'm playing against. I met since I believe PUBG would run better if it didn't have to launch before the holidays. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, why not just give this give people a couple more they should have give like Bluepoint like some more time to make this game. Microsoft didn't have to rush this out, you know. And I understand like it's early access, and maybe they thought under the guise of early access that people would be more sympathetic to the game. But you know what though? Don't be sympathetic to the game. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat. People are going to be like, oh, well, it's an early access, so what'd you think it was going to be, man? Come on, you're just complaining about nothing, man. No, I'm not complaining about nothing. I'm complaining about the way the game performs, and that is what. Again, I'm going to say this again. That is what early access is all about. And I'm sorry. Look, I don't. I just don't. I understand that the game didn't perform well. I knew that there were some performance issues with the game from an historical perspective. I understand that on PC there were some issues there, but I mean, look, I'm just going to say this, and this is what when I looked at my Xbox One X and I'm seeing pop in, and I'm thinking to myself, I have a 6 teraflop console. I have the beast. Why am I having pop in? Why is it that when I'm parachuting down, I'm seeing, you know, frame rate issues? I'm seeing screen judder. Why am I seeing those things? I have a 6 teraflop console. The beast, as Microsoft had sold me on. And, why, I don't understand. I just don't get it. Steve Sergeant No Rider says IGN has a 2-hour stream up with Dusty. Also says it's fine once you're in the ground. I mean, yeah, it improves, once you're in the ground, but there's definitely still some frame rate issues. There's times when I've had frame rate issues where I've been in combat with someone, and that's to my detriment, impacted me in a bad way. Those things aren't acceptable to me. You know, those things aren't acceptable. And I just, I guess what I want, I guess the point to all this is, let's not forget the purpose of early access. The point of early access is to provide criticism or input to developers, and don't lose sight of that. Don't sit there and say, oh, because a game's in early access, I should be okay with it. Or, hey, I knew coming into it that it didn't perform well. It's true, it didn't. It didn't perform well on PC, but you got to remember something. This is console. The console space is the one advantage, and I hear people always kind of beating the drum on with consoles versus PCs, that, oh, well, consoles are they run better because it's a more it's a more optimized platform. Okay, yeah, but that's not the case here. That's not the case. And I'm going to ask these questions because I'm a consumer, and I'm going to wonder why this game isn't running as smoothly as I think it should be. And we have some folks in the live chat saying they rushed the release. Yeah, it probably seems that way. Microsoft rushed the release. I don't see the reason why they needed to. What's up, B Money? B Money's in the live chat. JW's in the live chat. At IHOP, it looks like. Um, so I just look. I understand I understand when people say you know what you're buying. True, you do. Um, and I knew what I was buying, but that still doesn't mean. Sergeant O'Reilly says, "So why is there so many? Why is there so much gameplay up with gameplay up without people raising hell? All these people are just accepting an unplayable game. Yeah, because it's an early access. That's exactly why you're not seeing a lot of people complain about it, because of it being an early access, which is fine. I don't have an issue with a game being an early access. What I have an issue with is that mindset that you can't be critical or offer constructive criticism over games or an early access. I don't think there's any issue with that. I don't think there's any issue with that. And I think that, are there some people probably overblowing this issue? Possibly. But there's people like me that have some genuine concerns about the game and some of the things we're seeing. I'll say this again. I have a 6 teraflop console. There's no reason why there should be pop-in, especially on a game that's not that demanding. A game that's been out for a couple months. A game where Microsoft sent over their own developers to help optimize the game for the console. There shouldn't be pop-in should not be a thing. The frame rates running as low as they have been, even on the X, just is unacceptable to me. And look, and um, I understand that that it's an early access game, but it doesn't mean that I should just keep my mouth shut. If I'm not happy with something, I'm going to look. I'm going to make an issue of it. I'm a consumer. That's my right. I don't have an issue with people raising valid concerns. Like, now if someone's like, oh, PUBG, it looks like crap, man. It's garbage. Oh, well, I mean, that's a little bit different. I mean, But I'm talking about things that actually affect the in-game experience. And I've had some issues that have been a little bit frustrating to me in game, and I don't think there's anything wrong voicing those opinions. Let the developers know. Say, hey, look, you know what? This isn't cool. Sergeant O'Reilly says that's fine, OBJ, but Enrique chose to not only pay for an early. Yeah, I paid for an early access game. I'm well aware of that, but it doesn't mean that um, I needed to that I should just be quiet because I'm a consumer. I'm not going to be quiet if something is that broken. I don't care if it's an early access. The point of early access is to offer criticism and to be critical of what you're playing so that the developer can fix the issues in that game so that the end product is the best product they can deliver to consumers. I dare anyone to challenge me on that. So, uh, OBJ says early access is a scam. No way I'm paying to test games. Hey, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with that thought, but I don't think it's necessarily a scam. B Money, my co-host on BRAP, says that's exactly how he feels. I know. B, you and I have talked about early access on DM, PUBG. I know you've been somewhat critical of early access of that game. Um, Look, I'm okay because in some instances I want to, if there's a game that I'm really excited about, I want to check it out, see what it's about, before retail release. Um, All Day says he got it off impulse. um, so I just hope that I guess and the other question is too, and this is something I'm thinking about. With how many games this how many copies this game has sold on Steam? 22 million copies. I gotta believe that Blue Point's probably made a decent amount of money off this game. Sergeant No Rider, sign. Okay, that's not exactly the same thing. So Sergeant No Rider says, so you shouldn't be upset, Enrique, if you sign up to be a crash dummy. You can't complain about I can't even talk. A sore shoulder comes with the territory. Not exactly an apples to apples comparison, Sergeant No Rider. You're missing the point, Sergeant No Rider, of what early access is. Early access is the opportunity for gamers to test games, essentially like a beta test, like a paid beta test. You are paying the developer access to their game to try it. Okay, and you knowingly go in there and you understand there's issues with games. However, the point of early access is to allow gamers to offer criticism and input to developers. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I don't understand this notion of you can't complain. No, you Sergeant No Rider. If you are a consumer and you're like, you know what, I'm going to pay $30 for a game, and the game doesn't run well, but I'm not going to say anything, and it could potentially negatively impact my in-game experience. Shame on you as a consumer, because you know what, to you're not incentivizing the developer to put out a better product. So I mean, I just don't understand that rationale of you shouldn't be upset. No, I am going to be upset because there's things in that game that should not be there. And I'm sorry. I mean, people don't have to agree with it. That's fine. But you know, I understand that this game wasn't complete. I understand that um, this game had issues, um, but we're talking about a shooter. We're talking about things that impact whether or not you win or lose in this game. That's an issue for me. If you're okay with uh, you know, frame rate drops that impact you being able to respond, input lag. If you're okay with those things, hey, you know what? All more power to you. I'm not. I'm not. You know, I'm not. I paid $500 for. I paid. I paid. All this money. For this game console. I paid $30, and I understand the game wasn't complete. But there's some minor things in there that I have an issue with. Like there should not be popping. I don't care what anyone says. There in no way should be popping in this game. You know, especially if Microsoft has sent over its own engineers to help with the port of this game from PC to to the Xbox. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm never going to excuse that. I'm never going to excuse that. And I think that early access, you know, because of what it proposes to do, I think people need to be critical. If a developer's asking you for money up front, and the other thing that I had with PUBG is that they're asking us for $30 up front, but look how much money they've made on the PC side off this game already. You've sold 20 million copies of a game on PC. You got a lot of money. You've got a lot of money that should be going back into the optimization development of that game. These are the things that people need to think about as consumers. You're not just, take it in the rear because this game is a cultural phenomenon. Now, look, I'm not saying this game isn't fun. I mean, I've had, obviously, when you play in a team, that's the way to go. Sergeant Norrider says people pay 3 times the amount for Starter Citizen. I want to play the game, but I'm not paying 75 hours to play now. If I pay that knowing it's not done, I wouldn't be upset. Sergeant, you would be upset if you paid $75 and there were some things in that game that were detrimental to the gameplay. Yeah, you would be upset. You would be upset if that was the case. So I just again I'm not buying into this notion that you cannot be critical of a game in early access. That is not why we have early access. We have early access so that we can be critical of games that are in early access to provide developers with feedback. And you got to think about this, guys. Let's like, what's the incentive? I mean, and not to go, on another rant about early access, but I have some concerns as a consumer about early access. My only concern is what's and I think Nels Coney brought this up in the live chat. What's the incentive for a developer to finish a game if they've already made a profit off that game in early access? I mean, I think that we as consumers, if we're giving money up front to developers for games that are not finished, for games that don't play well, and we're not offering an incentive for them to finish a game because we're not complaining or we're not holding them accountable. That's not a good precedent to set. That's not a good precedent to set. We have to be aware of these things as consumers. I mean, I think that as gamers, we forget that we're consumers too. Our voices matter. Handling Ellis says early access devs are lazy. I'm not going to say that early access devs are lazy. And I'm not trying to start that narrative. I'm just saying I think that we need to hold developers accountable. Hey, this game does this and this. When are you going to fix it? And I think that you should. You have invested into their pockets. You have helped fund a game. You have a voice in this. Let's not forget that. Sergeant Nerd says Star Citizen runs like trash unless you're on a private server. And my guess with Star Citizen is like, where's if they raised $175 million, like what's going on? Again, I'm not involved in the game. I mean, hopefully they're giving people in that early access updates in terms of where they are or where they're at with fixing the server issues. B Money says I was hyped for Star Citizen. It looks amazing, but if it runs like trash, it's an easy pass. So B Money, I want to ask you something, B Money. This question for you, man. B, what do you think the purpose of early access is? I mean, do you agree with people shouldn't be critical of PUBG because they knew what they were buying? I'll let you answer this in the live chat. And anyone else who wants to answer that question too. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to get over a cold here. I've had like a cold for like the last 2 weeks. Nels Coney says, not give the dev a free pass, that's for sure. No time to game 62 says, just refund the game. Let's see here. Handling us as player known said months down the line, the Xbox version will perform better, and it shouldn't take long to fix the frame rate. Just wants to cash in on Xbox players. I mean, I don't know about the wanting to cash in on Xbox players. But I do remember them saying that the game would perform better. Sergeant Rush says MS is giving refunds, easy fix. Yeah, I mean that's great. They should be giving refunds to people who aren't happy with with the game. But again, Sergeant O'Reilly, my point here is this: is that this idea that people can be critical of something that they bought, even though they knew there were some issues. I don't agree with that because that's not what EA access. That's not what early access really is intended to do. It's a platform for people to be critical of games that are in early access and early development. B Money says people have to be critical. You spent your money for a product that is not complete, with the thought of the game being complete one day. You are there to help mold the future of the product. That's to allow it to become the best game it can be. What's up, J Street? Yeah, I mean that's a great point, B. I mean, I think even I think you could know. Here's the thing with early access, and this was my thing. I knew the issues that it had. I didn't know how severe the issues were in terms of its actual impact in gameplay. Um, with actual like in-game like experience. I mean, we can talk about it, but we really don't know the impact of it until we actually experience it. And then B, I don't know if you agree with me, man, but you and I, man, we got these X's. We have the beasts in our living rooms, and to see pop in, I just don't think that's acceptable, especially for that console. I'm sorry, I just don't think it's acceptable. It just yeah, it makes me wonder. And then handling S brings up a good point. I mean, look at a game like Fortnite Battle Royale. It's free and it runs great. And and it just and handling S brings up that Blue Point sold 25 million copies on the PC. Where's that money going to? I mean, look, these are things that I'm wondering. Like, where is that money going to? Why is this game launching? To me, this game should have launched a bit more optimized on the console. And I think it's a fair comparison when you look at a game like Fortnite, free to play, and look at it, it runs well. Does anyone know, if anyone in the live chat can tell me how much PUBG retailed for on Steam? Because I'd be curious, because 22 million copies sold early access is nothing to blink at. And Nelsconi says No Man's Sky was far more polished than this. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, it was. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. No Man's Sky was pretty bad. Salty says Fortnite is trash. Look, regardless of whether or not Fortnite is trash, Salty, the fact of the matter is it's a free game, performs well. Sergeant Rider says responsibility to educate yourselves on the product you buy is yours. Wait for reviews. Look, I'm not disputing that people should educate themselves on whether or not when they're buying products. You're missing the point again, Sergeant. What I'm saying is, it's okay for people to still be critical even after they bought something, because that's the point of early access. You guys are missing this point. The point of early access is to be critical and offer developers feedback and input so that they can make the best game available. And if you guys don't do this, and if you guys buy into this idea of, well, they told us it didn't perform well, so I'm not going to complain. Well, then you're doing yourself a disfavor. You're doing your fellow gamers in the gaming community a disfavor too. Because you're not incentivizing the developer to put out and fix issues that are going to impact the end user experience. You got to incentivize. If you give someone money to make something, they better fucking make it well. It's your money. And I understand. Educate yourself. If you're not sure about buying the game, obviously educate yourself. If you get in there and you're like, hey, you know what? I knew this game had frame rate issues, but this is really bad. Like this is, this is really bad about, the frame rates were worse than, the impact of frame rates on this game were worse than I initially thought it was going to be. Salty's Gaming says no one is saying that you can't be critical of PUBG. Actually, I have seen people say that on Twitter that you cannot be. A lot of the people that aren't bitching don't have the game and are just bitching and bitch. Yep, I've seen that too. You do have people that are bitching and bitch, but I'm sorry. Someone telling me that I shouldn't complain because I should have educated myself, whether on before making that purchase. Yeah, you know what? I knew about the game. I knew it had issues, but I didn't realize how much those issues were going to impact gameplay for me. And I'm sorry, man. I still can't get over this. Have the Xbox One X, the 6 teraflop beast, and there's poppin'. There's fucking poppin' in this game. I mean, look, maybe it's me being a little bit too picky, but there's poppin'. That shouldn't be there, and that's just ridiculous. Actually, Sergeant, I know, right? I typically don't buy early access games. All right, so I'm gonna look up something here real quick. So I'm curious. So I guess what PUBG on Steam's been retailing for $30 too. Let's see here. So I see $29.99. Yeah, it looks like it was retailing on Steam for $29.99. Saltiest Gaming says devs have never ported a game over to the console. Yeah, but Saltiest, Microsoft sent some of their developers over there to help. And I think if Microsoft is so heavily invested in this game too, they should probably off. I mean, they did. Look, Microsoft sent people over there to help with the port of the game. So, I don't know. Who knows what happened there? So it's $29 on PC. Thank you, B Money. They sold 22 million copies. 22 million copies times $29. It's a lot of money. And so I don't think it's unreasonable for people to think, okay, well, what's going on internally? Well, why is this game not running well? Considering it's not like it's at a point where, it's not they're not at a point where they have insufficient funding. I mean, at this point, Salty's brought up, they've never poured over a PC. Okay, well, with the amount of money they made, I mean, they could go out and hire people to do this. I mean, they had Microsoft come out and help them. The team from the Gears team from Coalition came out and helped them, went out there to help them. So I'm not, look, I don't know what to say. I mean, it just who knows what happened behind the scenes. It kind of leaves me scratching my head a little bit. Um, so Ahmet Sen says Bluepoint is already working on a separate IP. They are working on a separate IP now. There's another project that's in the works. And it could be PUBG could be one of those situations like B Money. I think B Money said this that it'll never be finished, or it's always going to be in early access. And you know what? Look, they've made money already on it, and so potentially, as a business owner, what's the incentive if you've made a lot of revenue off the game to continue putting more money into it? I mean, think about it. I mean, businesses, companies, developers, game developers, they're in the business to make money, to be profitable. I don't think that's I don't think it's unfair to say that. You're in this to make money. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just I just Ob OBJ says, yeah, gamers complain about microtransactions and pay to win, but you're paying for betas. Oh boy, that's an interesting point. Interesting point. Um, Salty says, Amit Sen, you have no idea about the process of porting a game over from PC to console. No one knows the inner workings of what's going on. Yeah, but Saltiest, I mean, Microsoft sent people over there. Saltiest, Microsoft has said that with utilizing the Windows platform and UWP, that it's easy to port games from PC to the Xbox. You know, so I don't know. I mean, I just my point to all this was I'm not of the mindset that you can't be critical of something even though knew it had issues and you purchased it, and furthermore that at the end of the day the point of early access is to be and to offer constructive criticism, um, to developers in early access. That's the point of early access. B Money says, "What happened to the power of DX12?" That's my point. Like like I don't have. Look, this is part of my frustration. B Money I don't, and I'll go back to people are gonna crucify me for saying this, but pop in. Why I have a 6 teraflop console? Why is there pop in? This is supposed to be a platform where you can optimize games to run. Um, in this closed platform, and that's not the case here. Like, and not only that, be money. I mean, we heard about how easy it was, early on this console gen. Microsoft would say DX12 or UWP, and it was easy to port games from PC to console. What happened to that here? And these are things that I thought about. Um, when I was playing this game, despite knowing the issues it had, it just made me wonder, like, considering how important this game is to Microsoft, as a console only or console first exclusive, whatever they're calling it. Um, Saltia says they sent people over to prepare the game for preview, not to finish it. I mean, yeah, I understand that, but there should be more stable frame rates. Saltia, this game isn't a demanding game. That's my point. Like I understand they sent people over there for game preview, but come on, like, to Poppin? Are you telling me Poppin is okay? I mean, I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I just don't. I understand that there could be frame rate issues, maybe screen tearing, screen jutter, or being disconnected from the servers. Some input lag. I get that, um, but not to the point. I don't expect those things when I'm playing on a 6 teraflop console. And I just feel like I'm not saying it's unplayable. I'm not saying the game's unplayable. I'm just saying that there is some issues that impact the gameplay in a shooter, which just are not acceptable to me. I'm sorry, I just not. Look, I used to competitively play shooters. I'm not. I'm not okay when input lag or frame rates are in fact are impacting my ability to shoot someone. I mean, it's not okay. It's not okay. Salty says, "What happened to rapid pack math?" I don't know what that. I've never heard that before. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think they could have had the game, running at a more stable frame rate. You know, so Sergeant O'Reilly says Rand has over 30 hours in this game. Let that sink in. Well, that's great for Rand. That has nothing to do with me. Rand has also said there's some performance issues with that game too. So I mean, he's even said it. He's even said the game's not perfect and that it has performance issues. What does Rand have to do with with that? I don't understand that. Let that sink in. Okay, so he's had 30 hours, uh, and yeah, what's I don't. I mean, look, Rand said it's fun to play with friends. That's why That's why he put 30 hours into it. And I'm not saying the game's not fun. Look, Sergeant O'Reilly, no one's saying that it's not unplayable, but there's performance issues. Okay, look, let me just clarify this. It's not totally broken where it's totally unplayable, but there's performance issues that impact its playability where you're going to lose in a gunfight because of performance issues. That sucks. That's not fun. You know, I think the fun that people are having with friends is, being in a team-based game. It's almost a tactical shooter, and trying to survive, and that's the allure and appeal to it. You know, but there are some issues there that that aren't okay with me. So I just it's interesting. Like I don't understand like the need for people to um what's funny? It's I don't understand the need for people to defend this game at all cost. Um Salty says Blue Hole has kept the servers up with 1 million people hitting it in 48 hours. Where's the props for that? Look, you're not going to get props from me for a gaming for a game to work. That's yeah, so I'm sorry, Salty. It's like I don't that's not props for me. I'm not going to give someone props because something that's in play should be working. I'm not going to. I mean, it's great. It's great the servers are up, but they should be up. I mean, I'm not. Why? That's like saying, "Hey, McDonald's gave me a cooked hamburger." I mean, they should be cooked. I'm not going to give props for that. That's bare minimum stuff. I mean, that's what this game is. They need the servers to run. I mean, what? I mean, I mean, that's. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give them props for that. That's something that's supposed to run. It's like when EA says, "Oh, we've fixed the bugs in certain games." You're supposed to fix bugs in games. Sergeant, again, you're missing the point, man. People are aware they have issues, but not until you get into those games and you experience how they actually impact gameplay. Some people may not be okay with with some of the frame rate issues or some of the pop in or screen jutter, and no, Saltese. It's not about negativity. It's about it's about offering criticism. I mean, you can offer objective criticism towards things, and it's not about being negative. You know, I don't, no one's having a shit party on Microsoft. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I own an Xbox One X. If I want to be critical of Microsoft as a consumer, I have every right to do that. I'm not saying Microsoft is bad or a bad company, um, but I'm talking about issues that I have with the console. There's nothing wrong to do with that. If you can't be critical about the things you love, they're never going to evolve. They're never going to be better. So Salty, if that's fine, man. If you think that, we're shitting on Microsoft. No, look, I've been, the topic here is PUBG, and not Microsoft. Like this is a PUBG. I'm not saying that Microsoft's fault. This is on Blue Point, really. If I brought up, issues related to Microsoft, this is, I'm surprised that, even with them sending a team over, that there's still some of these issues. So I'm not sure why you think we're, um, saltiest. Did I talk about PUBG when it was having problems on PC? No, because I didn't own the game on a PC. Why would I talk about something I don't own? I don't. I mean, I didn't talk about. Okay, I didn't talk about it on the podcast. I didn't talk about it on the podcast, about the issues with PUBG. But like in Discord with, Mr. Negative and the guys from STGC, they had played it on PC, and they uh, they had basically, said that the game didn't run well. But I didn't play it on PC, so I'm not going to be critical of something that I didn't play on PC. And Saltis, if you played it on PC, yeah, then you have every right to be critical. But I'm not going to be critical of something that I haven't actually played. So why would I be critical of PUBG on PC? I never played it. Sergeant No Rider says, "Why haven't you refunded the game, Enrique? Tell us." Ooh, I'll make sure to tell you, buddy. We'll tell you right now. Um, I haven't refunded yet because I want to see how the game turns out. Hopefully they end up fixing a lot of these issues, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, if they don't improve it, then I'll just gift it to someone. You know. So yeah. So that's why I haven't refunded yet. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, I tell you what, man. I'm really surprised. I'm reading some of the comments here in the comic session. Look, guys. At the end of the day, we're all consumers, and I think it's unfortunate that people, when you're critical of something, and I don't know why this is. When you offer criticism of something, people, think that you're bashing it, and I think there's probably some instances of that out there. In the Twitter community, I think if you've probably been exposed to console warring or console wars and been involved in that, you may think that that's where I'm coming from with this. I'm not. I'm just voicing, some of my experiences with the game, some of the concerns I have, as a consumers, and that's what, first and foremost, that's what we are. We're consumers. Um, yeah, so Saltiest Gaming says, not running well in preview. Millions are playing it because it's fun. That's great. I'm glad people are having fun with it. But that doesn't mean that I can't be critical about certain performance or, performance related issues with the game. I mean, I'm a consumer, and we need to hold companies accountable when we pay them for something, for goods. B Money says, when you're critical of something, people act like they were in the factory putting out the product. That's true, B Money. This is why I don't understand. Like, people are, get upset when, you get when you're critical over something. I think, look, there's one thing to be like fanboy critical. That's not what's happening here. There's another thing to offer constructive criticism, and that's okay. That's okay. This is not a cheap hobby. I keep telling this, man. People get their feelings. People have their feelings all up and invested in these companies. These companies don't care about you. These companies don't give a fuck about any one of us. The only thing they care about is our money. And you can't get your feelings involved in this stuff. You can't. You can't get if your feelings are involved in this, you got pick another hobby. Pick another hobby then. I just my feelings aren't involved. This my dollars are. My feelings are not involved in gaming, but my dollars are. My money's involved in gaming, not my feelings, and therefore I'm going to be critical about things that if I've invested in, whether it's a hardware product, whether it's software. I'm going to be critical about it. I'm going to be critical about it because I'm a consumer, because it's my money, because these companies have to earn my money. I'm just not going to give it away, give it to them, and just take it. No, and look, I don't blame I think that if you can't be critical about something you love, it's never going to improve. It's never going to improve. So I don't know, Saltis, if you're still in the live chat, but look, man, this isn't a Microsoft. We're shitting on Microsoft thing. This is more of like what's going on with this game, and why is it um, at this point right now, why is it performing the way that it is? And I understand it's early access, but um, Sergeant O'Reilly says, I just don't understand consumers who don't educate themselves and then cry. Dude, no one is crying. Dude, this is what you don't understand. You can educate yourself, and until you actually have that product in your hands, you don't understand real world performance, especially in regards to software, until you actually have that software in your hand, dude. And so, this idea that people are crying, nah, dude, you know, that sounds more like a fanboy rebuttal than anything else. The world owes you nothing. No, the world doesn't owe you anything. But you know what? Um, companies owe you. Um, companies owe you products that are going to improve if they're not improved upon, um, and products that work well because it's your hard-earned money. You know. So that's it. So Sergeant Norris says, so that seek a refund. I told you I'm not seeking a refund because I want to wait and see what happens. Hopefully they listen to the feedback of the community, and hopefully people, even if they're having fun, are still being critical of the game in early access, because that's what early access is about. You know. But Sergeant, man, you can't get your panties in a bunch, man, because someone's being critical over a game, man. So um OBJ says I don't think beta should be sold. That's all. Um Freeform says PUBG should have been free on the Xbox until it was stable. You know what, Freeform, PUBG was. Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, I think it's smart on Microsoft to capitalize on the hype of PUBG and sell it retail. It was selling on Steam at $30. Sell it on Xbox at $30. I think it was very very smart for Microsoft to offer a retail version and capitalize on the momentum of this game while they can. You know. So yeah, handling LS. I don't agree with that comment. I'm not going to repeat it, but I don't agree with that comment. And Freeform says the game being bundled with the X is oxymoronic, considering what the X stands for. Um, I don't know. I don't have any. I don't have an opinion on that. I think it's a smart move for Microsoft to bundle PUBG with the X. B Money says people shouldn't be critical of EA and their nonsense with Star Wars Battlefront 2. No, I think they should be. They should be. They should be, absolutely 110%. B Money. So, all right. So that's it for my PUBG rant. As always, I really appreciate the comments in the comment section, and everyone chiming in and giving us their perspective. So Hey, remember, we'll BRAP will be back on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our regular weekly podcast. And remember, this Monday we'll make an announcement. We'll make our big announcement for our PlayStation 4 giveaway. Compliments of chicken spaghetti. Um, um, and so we'll make that announcement on Monday the 18th. B Money will also be giving away two free PS4 games to the winner of the PlayStation 4 holiday giveaway. So just keep an eye out for that announcement. We'll make that announcement on Twitter. We'll pick the winner on Monday the 18th. So big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you for popping in as always. And hey, we'll catch you guys next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have any additional questions or comments, about this rant, hey, feel free to leave them in the live chat or the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to answer some of those questions or comments. So everyone have a great Sunday. Enjoy your gaming time, and we'll see you next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On that note, I am out. Peace.